sound. You know YouTube, right? Like, yeah, you know a little thing about YouTube.
Hello friends, I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed, and I rode today. I think you all know by now that Chevee likes to ride his motorcycle, and when Chevee doesn't get to ride his motorcycle, Chevee gets upset. But I got to ride my motorcycle today, and it was wonderful. And I've been through a few trials of the letter thingy now. Learned a lot along the way, and I think I finally got it figured out. So the very first one I did was this guy, and I don't remember why I didn't like this design. Oh, it was the kerning on the letters, and the fact that I didn't actually say this was done in strictly in Fusion 360. So getting this lettering spacing correct amongst an entire alphabet would be very difficult. So I went and redid this in Inkscape as an SVG editor. So I did SVGs, so I could do an outlines of these, and that gives me really precise control that I can't figure out how to do in Fusion with lettering in particular. Gives me really precise control over how far this edge is from each end of the letter, so that all the letters are spaced evenly, stuff like that. So really accurate, repeatable templates for different letter sizes. So this was number one, and then number two was this set. And I got away, I got away from doing this dovetail design to doing this little circle design for a couple reasons. One was I was hoping that putting the circles on here would keep them out of the way of the letters. So instead of being this big wide thing here, these could be kind of above and below the letters, so I could bring the letters a little closer. And number two, there are manufacturers who make letter kits, and their letters use this type of system, this locking. I realize you probably can't see that over my shirt, huh? They use this dovetail type system, and I didn't want to be accused of anything. You know, these are my templates, my layouts. So we did these guys, and we printed a bushing, and I put a picture up on Instagram, and I attempted to run with it. I put this together and taped it down to a board. And what I learned was, I don't know how well this is going to come across, so I'll take some pictures and show you up close. This bushing that I had made originally was just too tight. There was extremely almost no distance between the bushing and the bit, and so any movement in this piece or any flex in the bushing part just shoved it into the bit, and the bit ate the bushing off, and then the next thing I know, I'm eating into the lettering of my template. So that was problem number one. After that, I went back and printed another S. Yep, printed another S and put this together again, and went to try it with a new bushing. But then the problem I ran into, so what I did, I had to increase the inner hole here where the bit goes through, and then increase the outer diameter so that it doesn't flex as much. And what that meant was it no longer fit in my template. So this template was rendering letters that are just simply too small, too thin. So I abandoned this attempt and went to this. And in fact, I don't have them. I think the second half of the D is being printed right now. So I went back to the dovetail design. I don't know why. I think it was because it was easier to control the oh, I remember why. Technically, I don't need to print two Ds now because this is reversible. So I could reverse this now that these are lined up perfectly, and it would always line up perfectly. but I am printing the 2Ds just because. So, the fit on these, oh, the other thing I did was, I remember talking about how the bottoms of these were, it kind of splayed out, so I put a chamfer on the bottoms of these edges, and just, these came out absolutely flawless. I am so thrilled with the way my printer is printing right now. It did not used to print this nice, and it just suddenly started printing beautifully. Like, the parts aren't peeling off the bed like they normally do, all that stuff. So these fit together well. They're not tight, which I kind of wanted them to be a little bit tighter. Like, no, I guess they'll hold themselves. There's a little bit more gap than I was expecting, but they do hold themselves together, and that's really all I can ask for. So I came down last night, and I attempted to carve, and this is not going to come across on the camera, so I'll show you up close. The one here on the left was carved with the original little template, so you can see how much thinner that letter is, and it doesn't really have the characteristics of the Calibri font. So on the right, I didn't get my depth set quite right, but it looks much more like a Calibri font, and it's much fatter. And I did that by just increasing the size of the letters line weight. So if you line these up, you can see that they are just generally bigger. And so this is working. This is working actually really, really well. The new bushing works great. The new lettering, fatter lettering, works great. I'm really into this. So I would say very soon I should have some sort of system together that will allow me to actually produce manufacturable signage. I did learn a few things. For one, having this drop off right here is really difficult to do with this big router. So with this bushing, it's really hard because this isn't quite flush with the bottom, and so it wants to catch on the corners and stuff. So I need to either have another letter in here to space this up, or I really don't enjoy doing it with that massive router. That's a bit of overkill. So I might design, I don't know where my cordless is, I might design a different bushing base for my palm router, which I could completely 3D print that. It wouldn't have to be an insert. So we'll see how that works. But I'm getting close. I'm having fun doing it. So thank you for being here. As always, thank you for watching and liking and commenting and subscribing and being amazing people. I will see you tomorrow.
Hey, Doc, wait! I want to ask you something.
Today's random fact comes from geography.about.com. What province is the farthest west in Canada? British Columbia is the province located the farthest west in Canada. It is bounded by the Alaskan Panhandle, the Yukon, and the Northwest Territories, Alberta, and the United States of Montana, Idaho, and Washington.